Greetings, friends. My name is Sunny, and today we're going to be learning about Hamsa, which is an ancient visual symbol, usually represented by the open hand with a symbol in the palm. Often the symbol is that of an eye. The Hamsa, is a very, very old idea. It originated in Mesopotamia 2,000 and more years ago and was originally associated with a goddess figure known as Inanna. Later on, Inanna came to be known as Ishtar, but the Hamsa symbol was associated with her veneration. This symbol moved right on into the Middle East and became very well known in the Abrahamic traditions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In Judaism, the Hamsa symbol is often spoken of as being the hand of Miriam. Miriam was the sister of Moses, and she was known for being a woman of great faith. In Islam, the symbol is often known as the Hand of Fatima. Fatima was one of the children of the Prophet Muhammad, and at one juncture in her life, her husband entered their home with his paramour. She was very distressed at the sight of this and turned away, and her hand caught fire in the stove. It burned very, very badly as though it were charred, but through her faith, her hand was restored. In Christianity, the Hamsa is often known as the hand of Mary, Mary being Mary, the mother of Jesus. And in all of these traditions, the number 5 is very, very important symbolically. For example, in Judaism, there are the 5 books of the law: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And then in looking at the whole person, the number 5 still remains important. Typically, there are 5 fingers on each hand, there are 5 toes on each foot, and there are 5 senses by which the oral traditions say we can glorify the Creator. 5 is also important as being the number of what are known as the pillars of Islam. These are faith, prayer, alms, fasting, and pilgrimage. And so the number 5 is very important in the Islamic faith. The number 5 is also significant in Christianity for many reasons, including the fact that there are considered to be 5 great mysteries. Using the traditional language of Christianity, this would be the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the creation, and the redemption. There are also, throughout history, and especially visible in art history, the 5 wounds of Christ: 2 in his hands, 2 in his feet, and 1 in his side. The story that goes with the wound in his side has to do with a centurion piercing his side with a spear, and in popular art traditions, this was said to pierce his heart also. So sometimes you will see art with a heart that is wounded or a heart that is bleeding, and this would be indicative of that old tradition of the 5 wounds. The number 5 is also important in the East in Buddhism because of what are known as the 5 abstentions: abstaining from killing, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from lying, and abstaining from intoxication. Also in Hinduism, the hands are very important in tradition and in art. It is said that the fingers of the hand represent the 5 elements: fire, air, space, earth, and water. And there are a number of yoga postures for the hands known as mudra, which are gestures that help people with their physical health and with their spiritual health as well. Among the most famous is the Abhaya Varata, where the hand is held open to protect from harm or injury, and the other hand is pointed down, also open for welcoming. So as you can see, there's a great deal of significance to the hand, the 5 fingers of the hand, and the number 5 in general, which Hamsa is derived from the Hebrew for the number 5. There's even considered to be spiritual power in the hand in indigenous practices, also in the root work tradition, which came to the United States from West Africa during the years of slave trade. There are associations with the 5 fingers and the significance of the human hands in almost every culture and every faith practice in the world. The reason the hand got associated with the eye, especially in the Middle East, in the Abrahamic traditions, is that it was thought in ancient times that if a person glared at you or stared at you with a hard intent or a cruel intent, that they could actually harm you with that stare or with that gaze. The Hamsa was a tool by which you pushed back against that gaze, and the eye, the benevolent eye, was said to turn away the evil eye or the hard stare that people who were trying to do you harm might direct at you. In Arabic, that eye is known as the nazar, and nazar means surveillance. And so you can see how that protective eye became very, very important given those cultural conditions. I have a couple of examples for you of Hamsa that are from different cultural backgrounds. This one is from the Middle East. I don't know how well you can see that image, but it shows the traditional calligraphy embellishing the hand shape. This one is from the East. It is Hindu in origin, and instead of an eye, it shows the symbol known as Om, which is a syllable said to encompass the vibration of the original creation. And so, with that background on Hamsa, we are going to begin our own process of creating our very own Hamsa. All you need would be a piece of paper, and it can be any paper, even plain old copier paper that you probably have some lying around. Then you need a pen, and a black pen makes for a very nice contrast as you begin the drawing process. So right now we're just going to trace around our hand onto our paper, and you've got room there to do both hands, so you can actually make 2. Eventually you'll probably want to cut out that hand shape or those hand shapes, but for right now it's fine to just work on the trace outlines on the paper. To begin the ZenPen process, we are going to use straight lines to divide our hand shape into various sections. So here is an example of my hand shape just divided with straight lines. Some of them are diagonal, some of them are perpendicular, some of them are horizontal. And I went ahead and outlined my fingernails as well, which you don't have to do. But that is very popular when I teach this class with teenagers. So if you'd like to do your fingernail outlines as well as sections of the hand, then you're welcome to do that. When you have finished demarcating lines across your hand shape, we are simply going to take our pen and we are going to fill in each one of the areas in our hand with a different type of geometric shape. Maybe in one section you'll want to put dots. In another section you might want to put triangles. In another section you might want to put tiny squares or rectangles. Any geometric shape is fine, and the more different kinds, the better. So let's take a moment now to fill in some of the areas in our hand that we have divided. And you can either pause the video at this juncture if you'd like to stop and then pick it back up later, or you can simply listen to the sound of my voice as I go on to the next steps that you're going to use while you continue to do your own drawing. So, moving ahead, here is my Hamsa eye in the palm of this hand, and as you can see when I hold this up, I've filled in the various sections with everything from triangles to swirls to rectangles to polka dots, some moons, some sunshines. Here is an example of a Hamsa hand with the eye formation in the palm and ZenPen drawing all over the rest of the hand. Now you may ask, ZenPen, what is that all about? Well, Zen, of course, is a form of meditation. And the point of doing ZenPen embellishment on your symbolic hand is not so much to create a great masterpiece, although I'm sure you'll create some beautiful work. It is to be in a calm, relaxed state where you simply focus on creating your design, not so much worried about the outcome, but on the process itself. It's a little bit similar to something you may have heard of that has a similar name, Zentangle. But Zentangle is a copyrighted trademark methodology that uses a more strict format. There's a certain specific type of paper that is preferred. There's a certain specific type of pen, etc., etc. Whereas with this method, if you have any piece of paper and anything to write with, then you can do ZenPen and enjoy that meditative quality that it helps to bring about. So, here is the hand once again with the symbol of the eye in the palm. But I also wanted to show you a Hamsa design with another symbol in the palm. This one has a butterfly. Sometimes people are just not comfortable having that eye shape or that eye symbol on their hand. And so at that juncture, I asked them to simply choose a design that matters to them, that they are comfortable with. This one was from one of my teenage students, and she wanted to use the butterfly because she was going through a lot of changes in her life, and that symbol had meaning for her. So we chose the butterfly and continued with the rest of the ZenPen process. The next thing I like to ask people to do in the Hamsa ZenPen process, and this will be when you go on to use your next hand shape that you traced, if you drew, like I did, straight lines to bifurcate and trifurcate and otherwise divide your hand outline, on your second one, you might try doing a very similar thing, but instead of using straight lines, use squiggly ones, or use whirly ones, or use maybe little circles linked together to divide the areas on your hand shape. You will find that as you fill in those spaces that you created, especially if you deviate from straight geometric figures like squares, triangles, to using loops and twirls and swirls, you'll have a very different look, but one that is just as good for embellishing. Now it's a matter of personal taste. Which do you prefer? Geometric straight designs or looping, swirling, sinuous, what we might call more romantic designs? Both are fine, and both are great ways to create your Hamsa. Before we go, I'd like to show you a couple of Hamsa that were created by some students last weekend, just to kind of fuel your creative tank. Here is one that utilizes a smaller hand symbol in the palm and actually combines both geometric designs and the swirls and loops. And I find that these even look a little bit like waves, like ocean waves. And here's yet another one that uses flame. This is very common in the traditions in the South American and Central American countries, where they take very seriously the idea of a heart aflame with faith. And so you will find these designs, these las manos designs with the hearts and with flame. So I am sure that you have created thus far some beautiful designs of your own, and now you have the skills to continue making as many Hamsa as you would like. People have asked me, is the ZenPen technique limited to just doing Hamsa, to just doing hands? No, of course it is not. Another beautiful cross-cultural, cross-faith symbol that I enjoy is feathers. And so it's not difficult to trace or draw a feather shape, cut it out, and use the ZenPen technique on the feather. If you would like to send these through the U.S. mail, you can do that. You just need to back them with a little bit firmer piece of paper, like a page out of a calendar that's outdated, or even a piece of construction paper. Then you can write a little message on there, the address, and put a stamp, and it will wing its way, so to speak, through the U.S. mail. I also enjoy doing birds with the ZenPen technique, and that's another simple shape that you can draw or trace, and then use that same technique where you divide the design that you have just drawn or traced and fill in the spaces with every kind of decorative element that suits your fancy. So, birds, feathers, I'm sure you can think of dozens of other ways to use ZenPen. Well, friends, I've enjoyed sharing this information about Hamsa and ZenPen with you, and I hope you enjoy the process as you begin to create more and more of your own.